me if there's any questions. We're good? Everybody can find equations of the ellipse? Don't forget, when we give you a minor or a major axis length, divide it in two to get the number. Parabola. Everybody okay with the parabola since we did that first? The important part is P. That's the trickier part. You can get your, set up y minus k, x minus h, whatever. The harder part is to remember to fill in the P. And use your sketch. If it's opening to the left or it's opening down, then P is negative. If it opens up or to the right, then P is positive. Another parabola. Question?
Wait, for number 2, can you go back up?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, I got it. I agree.
This time you got your focus. So if you get your focus in there, you can figure out what your values are, your P from that, your vertex. It's opening to the left, so P has to be negative. Don't get hung up on which way you should add or subtract. Go by your diagram. And your hyperbola. Remember at the end to flip your fraction. Use your slope. Can you guys use your slope? Again, don't get hung up over who's the A, who's the B. Use what you know about slope. Change in Y over change in X. Come underneath the Y, oh, that's your B. Underneath the X, that's your A. So square root whatever A squared is, square root whatever B squared is, and build your slope. In this case, you had your A. Don't forget to square root that guy. And cross multiply, you'll find your B. The A and the B will switch. Well, not necessarily, but the X and the Y will, so that will cause your A and your B to look different.
Yes. Can you explain how you graphed it?
How I graphed it? So we found the center. Your center is -2, -1, which they gave us. So I started with that first. And if it helps, draw a translated axis like this. I find that usually helps when I draw one. Then they gave you the vertex. They gave you a vertex, -7/4, which is almost like close to -2. It's got to be a little bit off from this one, so it's really, really close here. So it's going to be slightly. So if this is a little bit less than -2, it's going to be right over here. There's a vertex. A vertex means your hyperbola has to open this way. Until then, there'll be one this way. So your hyperbola is opening this way. No, I didn't. I did say sketch. That'll tell you your distance from A. Find your distance from A. There's your distance. 1/4. Remember, distances are always positive. Now you can get this part set up to here, and then you're going to have to, this will still be a B squared, then you're going to have to use your slope information to fill in the B.
that all you have to sketch for?
That's really all you have to sketch for. You can draw your asymptotes if it helps, but I don't know that it'll help too much. One nice thing about this is if you put these asymptotes, when you get your asymptotes, when you build them too, you can put your asymptotes in your y equals and see if it actually passes through the center. Your asymptotes pass through the center. So if this is my center, my asymptotes have to pass through my center. So that's a good check for your asymptotes sometimes. Sketching, that's all you really need for your sketch to look like that. Find the equation of the hyperbola again, given your x-intercepts. Now, the intercepts have to be your vertex points because it doesn't intercept the other axis. So your intercepts are your vertex again, and there's your slope to use, change in y over change in x. This time under the y again is your b, under the x is your a. Cross multiply and find your b. Use one piece of information at a time until you've exhausted it. See what you can tell out of your intercepts. Your intercept should tell you which way your hyperbola opens, and in this case, it should give you the value of a. So once you've exhausted that, go to another piece of information. So the asymptote, what you need in your equation is b. The only thing that the c relates to is your focus point. From the x-intercepts, you can find your center. They gave you your foci instead. You could work the same thing, find C, well then you couldn't find A or B. Good? Question?
Can you explain the x-intercept?
The x-intercepts. Yeah, when you start this, so say you start with your x-intercepts, you have one at 3 and one at -3. This is where your hyperbola has to go off of. Because a hyperbola does not use the other axis. Whereas the ellipse has a covertice, a hyperbola has technically no covertice. We need it to make the box, but we don't need it to graph it. So the distance from your center to your vertex is A. So if you can find your center, take the average, which will come out to be right here. So now you know your center is at 0, 0, so your distance here is A, which would be 3. So that's a nice piece of information. It tells you which axis. So now we know my x is my major axis, and we know that you're at the 0, 0, so you can start like this. This is how I like to start. Start like this, and now you know A. A is going to come first. You know A is 3, and you have to find B. And the other piece of information here will help you. Your slope is 2 over 1, change in y over change in x. So underneath your y is the b, underneath your x is the a. So you know one of these. You know a. And then you can find b. And when you put b in here, don't forget to square it. So remember, the numerator squared, the denominator squared. So again, you're finding some equations, given some information, some you had to complete the square. You had to do a little bit of a variety of these things. And again, you didn't have to do them all. Once you're comfortable with it, do the ones that you were not comfortable with so you can give them a wing. Okay. There's your x-intercept. Now, here's the difference. We gave you x-intercepts and y-intercepts. Because this is an ellipse, I got to tell you a little bit more about this. Which one is the major one? So you can tell once you graph them, which one is your major one. How do you know which one is your major one? Other than the foci part. The longest, right? So we're going to go off the center to find the longest. So it did tell you foci, so that you kind of knew which one was your major. But if I didn't, you'd have to go, because it's an ellipse, not a hyperbola. An ellipse, the major one is the longer one. So you would know which one came first. Remember, in an ellipse, this is a plus. You could write it like this. It's an add. It's commutative property. It doesn't matter which one comes first. It matters which one is the larger denominator. That's the major one. And then this one gave you another piece of information. Your foci was on the x-axis, so therefore your x-axis has to be your major.
So does the foci always land on the major axis?
On the major axis. So they kind of threw another hint at us, but in this case we really didn't have to, because as soon as you sketched it out, that's why the sketches are important. Not that you fill out the whole thing, but that you go far enough that you say, this is plus or minus 12, this is plus or minus 4. Oh, I can see that where my major axis has to be my x. So I would start like this. I would go right to this. Your center is at 0, 0. There's your top. Here's A. Here's B. And you got your equation. I didn't need to be told about the foci. But they would have to tell us on a hyperbola, because a hyperbola goes by whoever comes first, not whoever's the largest.
Wait, so for hyperbola, foci is always on the major.
Oh, it's always on the major axis.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, always on the major.
You're just talking about the equation.
Okay. So this one kind of looks like the ones we just did. We see an x squared and y squared. So what do you know about this? If I didn't tell you what it was, what would you know about this? Could it be a circle? It almost looks like a circle. X squared, y squared plus y squared equals something. But these guys are different. So it can't be a circle. It has to be an ellipse. Yeah. So divide everybody by 324 and set it up. Get your major, your minor, your foci. Can everybody find all the parts to it? Vertex on an ellipse. I want the major vertex. I want the covertices. That's from your minor axis. And I want the foci. And again, you can leave your foci like this. But don't forget to reduce your radicals. Reduce all your fractions. Reduce your radicals. Yes.
What is subtract A and B when we try to find C?
On an ellipse.
Just
On an ellipse, because okay, so here's the difference. Here's A, the distance, this long distance. Here's B, the short distance. So if I subtract the short distance from the long distance, shouldn't I stay within my ellipse?
Yeah.
Here's my big one, and I'm going to subtract something, and it's going to put me inside my ellipse. On a hyperbola, here's my long one. There's my B. If I add B, it puts me outside of it. Is where I want my foci to be.
So hyperbole.
You add. Right? Makes sense, right? Here's your A, the long one. I don't want to add B. It will put me outside. So I subtract B and put me inside. On an ellipse, I don't want to subtract it. I want to get outside of this guy, because my foci needs to be inside my hyperbola. You can memorize that, or you can kind of visualize it. I'm not a big memorize. Like, if you can get it from looking at this is more my goal than memorizing, and then as soon as the test is over, you forget every formula, you forget the P equals F minus V. It's so much easier just to look by the graph and to just get used to seeing these kind of things. I think so. I'm not big on the short-term memory stuff. Okay, this one, how do I know this is a parabola if I didn't tell you?
1 squared.
Even if it didn't tell you any of that.
There's only 1 squared.
There's only one square. So don't look at any of this. And Ashley saw it. It's a directrix too. So the only one that has a directrix is a parabola. But if I just gave you this, right away you're going to turn this around and put your square on the other side. Get it set up. It's got to look like this. The important part, 4P. So what's your center? your vertex.
Here it is.
0, 0, we have nothing with the X's and the H's. So I'm at a 0, 0, and I gotta get rid of this guy here. So the only time I want something is in front of my X, not in front of my Y. So I multiply both sides by 24. This is your 4P. P is positive, it opens right. It's a Y squared, so it's opening left or right. So P is positive, it opens right. Good? Yes? No? Foci, you can find your foci, the distance from your vertex to your directrix will give you the same distance from your vertex to your focus point.
That's just a random question, but
Yeah.
so when it's an ellipse, it's A minus B, or A squared minus B squared equals C squared,
8 plus.
A plus
Because you want it to be, no,
hyperbola.
sorry, you're minus. It's the minus. You said ellipse, minus.
Yes, ellipse is minus and hyperbola is
Hyperbola
plus.
is plus.
Okay.
Because in ellipse, you want it inside. So A is the longest. Figure, like, think of that. A is the longest. It's the edge of your ellipse. If you add to it, where's it going to go? Outside of your ellipse. So you subtract from it to bring it inside of your ellipse. Your hyperbola is outside. I thought you were talking about a hyperbola.
Oh, no.
A parabola. Good? And the next one, find the equation of an ellipse, given your center, your vertex. Now, we gave you your vertex point, so you should be able to find A, because this is your major axis. How do I know that this is off my major axis? How would I identify that? It's a vertex. Then the minor axis, and then again, they told you minor, so it's a length of 4, total length of 4. So B is only half of that, so don't forget to take half of this. That was kind of a nice one. Find the equation of an ellipse, almost the same as the last one, right? With the center and a vertex point. Find the equation of your parabola. Make sure you're familiar with your parabola, because what I always find in the past is everybody's looking for an ellipse or a hyperbola. Don't forget about the parabola. The parabola has one square. So when you get your one square, that's the one formula you should kind of get used to doing too. Is the y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. Kind of try to get comfortable with that. Remember, the k always is with the y, and the x always is with the h. If I switch it around, it still stays x and h. And again, 4p is what's in front of the non-square part. Questions? Anyone here? Question on this? Up.
Why is arrow where do you open on the last pen?
Well, you can't open over your directrix can't touch your parabola. So your focus point is inside of it, but your directrix can't go through it. So it can't be on this side, otherwise it would pass through your parabola. So it's always in the back of it, somewhere, underneath it or in the back of it. And that'll also help you. By the time you get did they give you a focus? Yeah. They gave you a focus point and a directrix. Your center has to come halfway, your vertex has to come halfway between them. Take the average. Okay. Find the equation of your parabola again. This one's opening down, so this is your x squared one. Opening down, your p is negative. Just kind of remember, if it opens down or to the left, p is negative. Up or to the right, p is positive. And then you don't have to worry about what the formula is. Good? Question?
Can you go back to the before?
4? Yep. Yep. Absolutely. We don't do a whole lot with these other than pretty much what you see is what you get here. When we do parametrics, God bless you, in the next unit, we take 2 sets of equations and we actually come back to a conic. So that's why I think we teach a little bit of the conics in here, because really we don't do a whole lot with them. Your parabolas is probably a little different. We work more with parabolas. Did you have a question on it? You good? Okay. And then again, these guys are just finding your parts. If it's 1 square, parabola. No squares aligned, which won't be here, but 1 square parabola. 2 squares, if it's a plus and the coefficients are exactly the same, it's a circle. If it's a plus and the coefficients are different, ellipse. If it's a minus, with 2 squares, hyperbola. Okay? Any questions at all?